You feel him pulling away. The texts are getting shorter, the calls have stopped, and the future you are both excited about now feels like a big, painful question mark. But he won't just end it. He's gone quiet, leaving you in a confusing and heartbreaking limbo. You find yourself replaying every conversation, checking your phone obsessively, and your mind is racing with a million what-ifs. What did I do wrong? Is he mad? Is there someone else? If you're wondering why he won't just tell you it's over, and you're terrified of saying the wrong thing and pushing him away for good, this video is for you. Being stuck in relationship purgatory is one of the most painful experiences you can go through. It creates this deep, gnawing anxiety because there's no closure, just an open wound of uncertainty. Today, I'm going to break down the deep psychological reasons for his silence. This isn't about making excuses for him. It's about giving you the clarity you deserve, and more. Importantly, I'm going to give you a clear path to reconnect with him in a way that feels safe to him, but is empowering for you. A way that doesn't just trigger another shutdown. Before we get into the why, we have to acknowledge the profound pain his silence is causing you. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. It's a deeply destabilizing and emotionally agonizing experience. When a man you care about goes quiet, it doesn't just feel like a pause. It feels like a slow, agonizing rejection that leaves you feeling completely powerless. This dynamic often kicks off something relationship psychologists call the pursuit-withdrawal cycle, and it is brutally effective at destroying a connection. Here's how it works. He pulls back, and your anxiety spikes. Your natural instinct is to close that gap. You text, you call, you ask what's wrong. You're pursuing connection, but to his overwhelmed system, your pursuit feels like pressure. It feels like a demand. So what does he do? He withdraws even further, maybe thinking that giving you less to react to will calm things down. Of course, it does the exact opposite. His increased silence sends your anxiety into overdrive. You start to panic. Maybe you send a long, heartfelt text explaining all your feelings. Maybe you get angry and demand an explanation. You're now pursuing even harder, and he, in turn, withdraws completely. Now, he's not just quiet, he's a ghost. You're locked in a toxic dance where your very normal need for reassurance is fueling his retreat, and his retreat is cranking up your anxiety. This cycle is why you feel like you're going crazy. You're not. You're in a feedback loop from hell, and his silence is the engine. The worst part of this limbo is the story your brain starts telling itself. In the absence of information, we fill in the blanks with our deepest fears. His silence becomes a screen where you project your insecurities. He's found someone better. I'm not interesting enough. I'm not worthy of a simple conversation. It must be something I did. This internal monologue is torture. It chips away at your self-esteem, minute by minute. His refusal to communicate leaves you alone with the worst possible narrator, your own panicked mind. This is why understanding the real reasons for his silence is the first step to taking your power back. So, let's get into it. Why do some men do this? Why choose silence over a difficult conversation? The answers are complex, rooted in psychology, societal conditioning, and even some biology. It's rarely as simple as, he just doesn't care. The truth is often way more nuanced. Here are the 4 biggest psychological reasons men go quiet instead of leaving. Reason 1. He's overwhelmed and his system is flooded. The single most common reason a man goes quiet is that he is stressed and emotionally overwhelmed, and it often has absolutely nothing to do with you or the relationship. Think about it. Pressure from work, money worries, family drama, or health issues can eat up all of a man's mental bandwidth. Many men are socialized to be the fixer, the one who has to handle problems. When they're hit with a major stressor, their brain often shifts into a hyper-focused, problem-solving mode. This is where biology and conditioning intersect. Under stress, a man's response is often to retreat and figure out a solution internally and alone. For him, talking about the problem before he has a plan can feel like adding more chaos to an already overloaded system. He doesn't see talking as part of the solution. He might see it as a distraction from finding the solution. This is why pushing him to open up when he's in this state can feel like an attack to him. Imagine his brain is a computer running a huge, complex program that's using 99% of its processing power. That program is the problem, the work crisis, the financial stress. When you come to him asking, "What are you feeling? Why are you being so distant? We need to talk about us." You're trying to run another resource-heavy program. The system can't handle it. The result, it freezes. It shuts down. That shutdown, his silence, is a self-preservation mechanism. It's not meant to be a punishment for you, but a way for him to manage his own internal storm. He's not necessarily giving you the silent treatment. He's just trying to keep his head above water. Reason 2, he has a deep-seated fear of conflict and disappointing you. This one is huge. Many men are deeply afraid of conflict, not because they're cowards, but because they are terrified of the emotional fallout. From a young age, many boys are taught that their job is to make their partner happy and keep the peace. Their sense of identity can get tangled up in their ability to be a good partner. When they sense conflict or your unhappiness, it can trigger a profound sense of failure and shame. He might be constantly walking on eggshells, trying to prevent an emotional explosion. If he knows that ending the relationship, or even just admitting he's unhappy, will cause you immense pain, his brain may see that conversation as a catastrophic failure. He's not just avoiding a fight, he's avoiding the crushing feeling of being the one who hurt you. In his mind, the silence becomes a twisted form of harm reduction. He might wrongly believe that fading away quietly is kinder than a direct, painful confrontation that he feels completely unequipped to handle. This is especially true if past relationship talks have been highly emotional. If his previous attempts to express himself were met with tears, anger, or criticism, his brain learned a powerful lesson. Talking about feelings leads to trouble. So, he falls back on what feels like the only safe option, saying nothing. He becomes a stonewaller. Research from the Gottman Institute has found that men are far more likely to engage in stonewalling as a defensive posture when they feel psychologically flooded. His silence isn't a sword he's using to hurt you, it's a shield he's using to protect himself from a battle he's sure he'll lose. Reason 3, he was taught that vulnerability is weakness. Societal conditioning plays a massive role here. From boyhood, many men are fed a steady diet of messages that equate emotional expression with weakness. Boys don't cry. Toughen up. Deal with it. They're taught to suppress fear, sadness, and uncertainty. Vulnerability is framed as a liability. So, when a man is struggling in a relationship, he often lacks the emotional vocabulary and the internal permission to even figure out, let alone say, what's wrong. Admitting, I'm not happy, I'm scared of commitment, or I don't feel appreciated can feel like a fundamental violation of his programming. It's not just uncomfortable, it feels unsafe. He's been trained his whole life to be an emotional soldier, and now he's being asked to describe deep wounds he was taught to ignore. He just doesn't have the tools. Brooding and withdrawing are often the only coping mechanisms he ever learned. This is a key reason why men with an avoidant attachment style pull away. Their entire system for connection is built around self-reliance. They learned early in life that depending on others for emotional support is either unsafe or unreliable. As a result, when a relationship deepens and requires more vulnerability, their internal alarms go off. Intimacy can feel like a threat to their independence. So they deactivate, they pull away to get back their sense of control. The silence is their attempt to create distance from the overwhelming feeling of vulnerability that closeness brings. He might genuinely care for you, but his fear of being engulfed by the relationship is even stronger. He doesn't know how to say, I need space because I'm scared, so he just takes it, leaving you totally confused. Reason 4, he is unsure of his own feelings and fears, making the wrong choice. Sometimes, the silence isn't a quiet decision to leave, it's a loud symptom of his own indecision. He might be genuinely confused about his feelings for you, the relationship, or where his life is going. A breakup is a permanent choice, and he could be terrified of making a huge mistake. What if he ends it and realizes he lost the best thing that ever happened to him? That fear of regret can be paralyzing. In this state of ambiguity, silence becomes a holding pattern. He's not ready to move forward, but he's not ready to end it either. He's trying to process everything and get some clarity before he takes an action he can't take back. He might be weighing the pros and cons, trying to listen to his head versus his heart, and feeling completely stuck. He knows any conversation with you will require him to have answers that he just doesn't have. He doesn't want to lie and say everything's fine, but he also doesn't want to admit his doubts and hurt you, especially if there's a chance he'll decide to stay. This is also a way to avoid guilt. If he's conflicted, he feels guilty. Talking to you and seeing your pain would just amplify that guilt. Silence lets him deliberate from a distance, without having to face the immediate emotional consequences of his internal conflict. It's a deeply frustrating position for you to be in because you're essentially on hold while he figures himself out. But from his perspective, he's trying to be careful and avoid a rash decision that could hurt both of you in the long run. The silence is his messy, imperfect, and ultimately selfish way of trying to get it right. Okay, so we've looked at the deep reasons for his silence. Now, for the most important part, what do you actually do? How do you reestablish a connection without setting off his internal alarms and making him retreat even further? This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about shifting the dynamic from anxiety and pressure to one of safety and respect. Here's your 4-step path to reconnection. Step 1. Stop the pursuit and regulate your own nervous system. This is the first and most critical step. You have to stop the chase. Remember that pursuit withdrawal cycle? The only way to stop the dance is for one person to change their steps, and that person has to be you. This means no more rapid-fire texts, no more "we need to talk" ultimatums, no more demanding to know what's wrong. Every time you do that, you're sending a danger signal to his nervous system, which only confirms his need to withdraw. The mantra here is, when he pulls back, you pull back. This isn't about giving him the cold shoulder or playing tit for tat. It's about graciously giving him the space he is so clearly, if non-verbally, asking for. This is incredibly hard because it goes against every anxious instinct you have. Your brain is screaming, "Fix it now," but the only way to begin fixing it is to create a vacuum. But here's the secret. You're not just doing this for him, you're doing it for you. The constant pursuit is draining your energy and crushing your self-worth. By consciously choosing to stop, you take back control. Instead of pouring all your energy into him, turn it back to yourself. What do you need to feel calm? Go for a walk. Call a friend and talk about anything but him. Lose yourself in a project you love. Meditate. Do whatever it takes to soothe your own nervous system. When you approach this from a place of calm, grounded energy, instead of frantic, anxious energy, the entire dynamic shifts. You're no longer a threat he needs to run from. You're a calm harbor that might eventually feel safe to return to. Step 2. Create a zone of emotional safety. A man will not open up where he doesn't feel safe. Period. Right now, because of that toxic cycle, the relationship probably feels like an emotional minefield to him. Your job is to start defusing the bombs. You do this by proactively creating a zone of safety, often without even talking about the relationship. One of the most powerful things you can do is build him up in areas that have nothing to do with you and him. Men often have a deep need to feel respected and competent. If he's been silent, instead of a text that says, "Why are you ignoring me?" try one that says, "Hey, I was just thinking about how you handled that difficult situation at work last month. I was so impressed." Or, "I know you've been working so hard on that project. I really admire your dedication." These kinds of messages do two crucial things. First, they are completely non-demanding. He doesn't have to do anything in response. There's no hidden question about your status. Second, they send a powerful subconscious message. I see you, I respect you, and I am on your team. You are refilling his emotional tank instead of trying to make a withdrawal. You're showing him that you can be a source of support, not just a source of stress. This slowly lowers his defenses and redefines you as an ally, not an adversary, which is essential for making him feel safe enough to re-engage. Step 3. The gentle, non-demanding check-in. After you've given it some time, days, maybe even a week, depending on how quiet he's been, and you've worked on creating that sense of safety, you can try a gentle check-in. The key is that it must be completely free of accusation or demand. The goal is not to get the answer to "Are we breaking up?" The goal is to simply and softly open a door for communication. A bad check-in sounds like, "We haven't talked in a week and I need to know what's happening." A good gentle check-in sounds like, "Hey, been thinking of you. Hope everything is okay." Another great option is to make it about his experience, not yours. Instead of saying, "I feel so abandoned by your silence," which will trigger his shame and make him defensive, try something like, "You've seemed like you have a lot on your mind lately. Just wanted to say I'm here if you ever want to vent about it. No pressure at all." That phrasing is brilliant for a few reasons. It validates his reality. You have a lot on your mind, which shows you see him. It offers support without demanding anything back. "I'm here if you want." And most importantly, it ends with no pressure. Those two words are magic. They explicitly give him permission not to respond, which, ironically, makes it much more likely that he will. You're signaling that you respect his need for space, and you aren't going to force things. You are inviting connection instead of demanding it, and that makes all the difference to an overwhelmed man. Step 4. Speak the language of reassurance, not resolution. Let's say he responds to your gentle check-in. This is a critical moment. Your instinct might be to jump right into problem solving and try to fix everything. You'll want to have the big State of the Union talk. Resist this urge. The initial re-engagement is fragile. He's just cautiously stepped out of his cave. If the first thing he sees is the bright, glaring sun of a massive conversation, he'll run right back inside. Instead of seeking resolution, focus on reassurance. Your goal is simply to re-establish a positive emotional connection. Don't bring up the silence. Don't ask what it meant. Don't ask where you stand. Just be positive, light, and warm. Talk about something completely unrelated. Share a funny story. Ask him about a hobby he enjoys. If you're in person, physical touch can be more powerful than words. A simple hand on his arm or a hug can communicate care and affection without the pressure of a big talk. You're showing him that your connection isn't only about intense emotional conversations. You're reminding him that there's still joy, lightness, and affection between you. This approach calms his nervous system and rebuilds trust. It proves that he can come back to you without immediately being thrown into a high-stakes emotional battle. Once you have re-established this baseline of positive connection over time, the space for a more serious conversation might naturally open up, but you can't force it. You have to create the conditions of safety and reassurance first, and let the resolution follow. If you're stuck in this painful limbo, I want you to hear this. His silence is almost certainly a reflection of his own internal struggles, not a measurement of your worth. It's a flawed coping mechanism rooted in fear, social conditioning, and emotional overload. While it's not fair to you, understanding the why can shift you out of a state of panicked self-blame and into a position of empowered clarity. Your path forward isn't to chase harder, but to become a source of profound emotional safety. It's about regulating your own anxiety, giving him space without punishing him, and showing him through your actions that you are an ally, not a threat. This process isn't about waiting around for him forever. It's about taking back control of your own emotional state and creating a new, healthier dynamic. Whether this relationship ends or is reborn, you will be doing it from a place of strength and self-respect, not fear. You have the power to stop this painful cycle, and it begins not with him, but with you. Thank you so much for watching. If this video resonated, please hit that subscribe button, and maybe share it with a friend who needs to hear this. I'll see you in the next video.